Tonight on the Q30 Newscast, QTHON is under a month away. Fundraising efforts are in full swing. An update from Push Day.
And flu season may be ending, but it's important to understand what makes up your vaccine. How one QU student dealt with her stint with the flu.
Plus, an update on the hot button topic on campus, renovations to the university president's home. We have the latest details.
The Q30 Newscast starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Q30 Newscast. I'm Kelly Ryan.
And I'm MJ Baird. Thanks for joining us tonight. We bring you some sad news tonight in the Quinnipiac community. Associate Vice President and Director of Financial Aid Dominic Yoia passed away suddenly at his home on Monday night. Yoia is survived by his wife and two daughters, both graduates of Quinnipiac. University President Judy Olian sent an email to the student body informing them of the news on Tuesday morning. Information on funeral services can be found on MyQ. Yoia was 55 years old.
Last week, million-dollar plans to renovate President Judy Olian's home were announced, prompting a student petition to have her fired.
In the same petition, details surfaced about Olian's alleged overspending back in her time as a dean at UCLA. Q30's Matt Fortin dug deep to find out the truth. Matt?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Expensive airline travel, limousine rides, and hotel stays. That's what was referenced in last week's petition drafted by a Quinnipiac student. And the writer of the petition said her spending at UCLA draws certain parallels to last week's announcement. Info from a 2013 report by the Center of Investigative Reporting reveals a pattern of high airfare costs and other spending by UCLA administration. Olian spent the most out of any other dean at the school on air travel, reportedly spending almost $300,000 for premium airfare between 2008 and 2012. Using school funds for first-class flights is against UCLA policy, but unless a documented medical condition is on file. CIR reports that Olian had a doctor's note at the time. UCLA said her travel costs were simply an investment towards the $450 million she raised during her 12 and a half years at the school. In last Thursday's informal town hall, Olian said all her UCLA expenses were 100% audited and approved by administration. And as for the home renovations here in Hamden, that petition has been taken down, and Olian says the $1 million renovations was a decision by the Board of Trustees, an important investment to make for the future of the university. She said in the town hall meeting also that per year, Quinnipiac does spend an estimated $30 to $40 million in total infrastructure. The university president's house was acquired in April of last year before President Olian entered office. With the property bordering the Mount Carmel campus, Olian explained that this was a strategic move for the university. The house will be passed down to future university presidents and will be used to hold events for students, parents, and donors. And Kelly, we have since learned that there could be a few roadblocks in the way of this project.
Yeah, Matt, the $1 million renovation project has now come to a halt. The Hamden Planning and Zoning Board has advised the university to stop work at the property because of zoning permit issues. The construction included a temporary access road and contractor parking lot on the property, but Quinnipiac does not have the right permits for this. Now, Quinnipiac is in the process of applying for the proper permits to move forward. In a statement to Q30 News, Lynn Bushnell, Vice President for Public Affairs, said, quote, "We have received questions about the temporary parking area at Spruce Bank, and we are working with the Planning and Zoning Committee to provide additional information to satisfy any concerns," end quote. And during last week's informal town hall meeting, President Olian announced that the university is hoping to repurpose the WQUN studio and build for more current broadcasts. Let's take a look.
We want to repurpose that studio for more current broadcasts. For example, podcasting of our students, of our faculty, of community leaders, to make it a resource there.
We reached out to the university for further comment, but they did not get back to us. Make sure you follow at Q30 News on Twitter to stay up to date on the latest with this story. The university issued parking bans for tonight, anticipating the upcoming snowstorm. Starting at 10 o'clock tonight, all surface lots on the Mount Carmel campus will be closed. All cars on the York Hill and the North Haven campus need to be parked in the garage. Students who live in off-campus properties also need to park in the York Hill garage. Campus shuttles will operate on a regular schedule, but classes tomorrow have not yet been canceled. Changes to the Quinnipiac's shuttle service may be on the way. Quinnipiac's Department of Transportation is looking for the potential for a new shuttle stop location. Shuttles would stop at the People's United Bank branch located on Whitney Avenue. This would provide students with access to the actual bank instead of just the ATM on campus. Quinnipiac Parking and Transportation Coordinator Shannon Grasso told Q30 that the details are still being finalized.
One car was stolen and more broken into right here in Hamden on Monday night. According to police, money and jewelry were stolen from 4 cars that were broken into. This all occurring in the Worth Avenue and Centerbrook Road areas. A witness told police 5 to 7 people were seen trying to get into the vehicles around 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Police are urging residents to park in a well-lit area, lock their doors, and remove any valuables from their car overnight. If you see any suspicious activity, please give Hamden Police a call. And potentially more taxes are on the way for Connecticut residents. State Governor Ned Lamont is proposing new taxes on items that weren't taxed in the past and increases on things that are already taxed.
Now here's the good news.
Lamont released his budget last week, and the new taxable items could include textbooks, bicycle helmets, and child car seats. The Democratic governor is also calling for the end of tax-free weekend, which occurs annually in August.
The Society for Human Resource Management at Quinnipiac partnered with the School of Business to host Diversity and Inclusion Day today. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today, students were invited to share their perspectives on diversity and inclusion and hear from several multicultural organizations on campus. Quinnipiac hosted Rare Disease Prevention Day today, bringing patients, their families, and researchers together to make a difference. The theme was bridging health and social care. The event was inspired by adjunct professor of occupational therapy, Roberta Solomon, who lost her husband to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in April of 2017. The idea was to give more recognition to people in the community with rare diseases and the healthcare professionals who are involved. Also provided resources for those affected by the rare diseases.
As the countdown to QTHON continues, Quinnipiac is pushing to raise money. Kerry Golden has the story.
With QTHON less than 30 days away, dancers and management are pushing to raise as much money as they can.
So today is our day of miracles, which is really exciting because we're aiming to raise $60,000 in just one day.
On Push Day, management aims to encourage people to register for QTHON and get family and friends to donate.
I've been posting on my Instagram story and on my Instagram and my Snapchat, trying to ask my family, reach out to my family. I'll have my mom reach out to her friends at work. I'll post things on Facebook just to try to raise as much money as I can.
I'm posting my donor drive link on Facebook to all my family and friends, and I'm posting on my social media stories. I put a bingo sheet up to have people donate. I put my donor drive link in my Instagram bio so they can Venmo me money.
Last night, the QTHON team also hosted a Minute for a Miracle, where teams competed against one another. The prize, the chance to host a miracle child.
So we're really excited. That'll hopefully push us into kind of where we need to be, and we're encouraging all of our dancers to raise $60 for 60K.
The 2019 QTHON Dance Marathon will take place here in the Rec Center on March 23rd. The goal, $323,000. Reporting from Quinnipiac, Kerry Golden, Q30 News.
Coming up after the break, President Donald Trump is being sued. One former campaign staffer is accusing him of gender-based pay inequality.
And one Quinnipiac alum won big this past weekend. If you watched the Oscars earlier this week, you may have seen him.
Snow is on the way tonight, but how much are we going to get and how long will it stay? I have my full weather forecast after this.
Quinnipiac students have been affected by the flu since late October. Olivia Schueller has more on the flu vaccine and how it can help you stay healthy this winter.
The flu has affected students across the Quinnipiac University campus and around the nation. One Quinnipiac student who was so sick with the flu went home to Massachusetts in order to get better.
I was in bed all week. I also missed all my classes for the week, which was a bummer, and I didn't get to be on campus all week because of it.
If someone has flu-like symptoms, they need to be treated with Tamiflu. There has been an estimated 17.7 to 20.4 million flu illnesses and 8.2 to 9.6 million flu medical visits between 2018 and 2019.
I mean, the weird thing about it, I was around my roommates like all day the day before and all morning before I got diagnosed, and no one got the flu. But I think it's probably because they all got vaccinated and I didn't.
The vaccine is about 85% effective, according to Dr. Rose, and it changes every year. Scientists create the vaccine based on the flu cases coming over from Asia. When a person gets the vaccine, they are putting a dead virus into their body.
Your immune system recognizes this as something foreign, and it starts making what we call antibodies to fight that virus.
Miriam's body wasn't introduced to the virus, so she was unable to make the antibodies her body needed.
The concept is with any non-live virus vaccine is that you make the antibodies and you get to a certain level. You have to have a proper dose so that when you are exposed to the flu, you won't get it.
Flu season ends between March and April, but doctors are still urging patients to get their flu shot. They say the #1 way to prevent being sick is by washing your hands. At Physicians One in Derby, Connecticut, Olivia Schueller, Q30 News.
Millions of people watched the Oscars this weekend, but not everyone can say they won an award. Yet one Quinnipiac alumni is saying just that. David Rabinowitz, class of 2009, won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay for the film Black Klansman. He co-wrote the screenplay with the famous writer and director Spike Lee. During his time at Quinnipiac, Rabinowitz was a part of the Quinnipiac Film Society, where he got his start writing and producing short films. And a change is coming to one residential life position here on campus. The position formerly known as CA, known for Community Assistant, is being changed to the more traditional name, RA, or Residential Assistant. Mark DeVilbus, Director of Residential Life, told Q30 that they made the change because the RA job title is so familiar to students and families. He said that because the job responsibilities are the same, the different titles are an unnecessary distinction. And spring break is just a week away. Got nothing planned? Well, there's always next year. Quinnipiac is offering a new course on fashion with a travel component. The course is titled Culture of Central Europe Through Fashion. The class will be offered in the spring of 2020 and includes a spring break trip to Europe. Details and the application can be found on IQ.
And Quinnipiac is launching a new university-wide calendar. It will better showcase the thousands of events hosted by student-run organizations, faculty, staff, and different academic departments. The information for the calendar will come through the school's room booking system. Anyone hosting an event will ask to enter a title, a start and end time, and the event type when booking a room for the event. The calendar can be found at calendar.quinnipiac.edu. And Quinnipiac's mock trial team advanced to the opening round championship series of the American Mock Trial Association's annual competition. They earned a spot after participating in a regional tournament at Yale, where they placed 4th overall, outranking Yale, Boston College, MIT, Trinity College, and Dartmouth. This is the 3rd time the mock trial team has appeared at the tournament. They will be competing in the championship in Boston, working to move on to nationals.
Quinnipiac's Gender Sexuality Alliance hosted its Queer at QU photo sessions on Monday. The group launched an initiative inviting the LGBTQ community to get their pictures taken to show Quinnipiac what queer looks like. Students brought props, including flags, to show off their pride. The organization's goal was to challenge the stereotypical LGBTQ persona. And calling all Quinnipiac students, are you interested in teaching, studying, or conducting research in another country after graduation? If so, Fulbright might be for you. The U.S. Fulbright Student Program is a world-renowned and prestigious exchange program that fully funds academic programs for students once they graduate. Quinnipiac is hosting an information session next Monday, March 4th, in the Student Center. All your details are on MyQ.
And the Student Programming Board announced that Black Bear will headline Wake the Giant, Quinnipiac's annual spring concert. The show is on April 13th at 7 p.m. at the People's United Center on the York Hill campus. Tickets will go on sale Sunday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. Floor tickets are $20 and seats are $25 for undergraduate students. Bryce Vine will open the show. The Quinnipiac Student Nurses Association will host its annual Senior Citizen Prom on Friday. Students will socialize with seniors at Ellen Park Baptist Home in Cheshire and serve them dinner. The theme is Starry Night.
And it's over a year away, but candidates are already starting to declare their intent to run for president in 2020. Q30 caught up with the Quinnipiac partisan groups here on campus to hear some of their opinions on the candidates. First up, the QU Democrats.
There's not a clear front runner as of now. There's a lot of variation within, but there's a consistency in the fact that they're all extremely progressive so far. A lot of them are also senators, which is very interesting too. And there's also a lot of major women candidates.
And as for the QU Republicans, they say Donald Trump deserves a second term.
His personality is often caustic, and he steps on his own feet, and unfortunately large amount of the time, but I think all in all he's doing a good job and deserves a second term.
The U.S. is sending aid to Venezuela, but what is the reception really like in South America, Kelly?
And another former Trump campaign staffer, MJ, is suing the president. Kay Pattyfoot has our political updates. Kay?
President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, has been testifying before members of Congress. Cohen will be going to prison for a 3-year sentence starting this May. He pled guilty to finance violations stemming from hush money payments made to porn star Stormy Daniels and other allegations. Cohen also mentioned in his statement that, quote, a lot of people have asked me about whether Mr. Trump knew about the release of the hacked Democratic National Committee emails ahead of time. The answer is yes, end quote. Cohen also has evidence in the form of checks signed by President Trump regarding that he knowingly violated a campaign finance law. Tensions are rising in Venezuela as President Trump urged the Venezuelan military officials to back self-declared interim President Juan Guaido and to allow humanitarian aid into the country. Nicolas Maduro Moros came into power in 2013 after the death of former leader, Hugo Chavez, soon after the country entered recession and Maduro Moros' popularity went down. President Trump said, quote, 2 days ago, the first U.S. Air Force C-17 landed in Colombia loaded with crucial assistance, including thousands of nutrition kits for little Venezuelan children. Unfortunately, dictator Maduro Moros has blocked this life-saving aid from entering the country. He would rather see his people starve than give them aid, end quote. Alva Johnson, a former Trump campaign staffer who was a resident of Alabama, is suing President Trump and his campaign. Johnson says that the president kissed her without her consent during the 2016 race. Johnson is also suing over equal pay. She claims that she was paid less from her work based on her gender and her race. In the lawsuit, Alva Johnson says that, quote, as defendant Trump spoke, he tightened his grip on Mrs. Johnson's hand and leaned toward her. He moved close enough that she could feel his breath on her skin. Mrs. Johnson suddenly realized that defendant Trump was trying to kiss her on the mouth and attempted to avoid this by turning her head to the right. Defendant Trump kissed her anyway, and the kiss landed on the corner of her mouth, end quote.
Okay, next on Q30 Newscast, the U.S. has drafted men into the military since the Civil War, but one Supreme Court justice is saying something different about women being included.
Plus, snow on the way tonight. A look at the weekend weather. Chris Stacey has your full forecast. That's next.
MJ, it is cold out there and snow is in the forecast for tonight.
Temps in the teens last night here in Hampton. Chris has your full forecast. Chris, what can we expect for the rest of the week?
MJ Kelly, thanks. And yes, it is very cold outside on the walk here. I didn't have any feeling in my fingers. So if we look at the weather today, like we said, it's 26 degrees or 27, excuse me, with a low of 23. We're going to get some snow tonight. I'll get to that later. And then tomorrow it's going to warm up, going to go up into 37, but back down later that night into 23. And then Friday it's going to be pretty warm. If you think 39 is warm compared to the weather we're ready to have, and cloudy and a low of 29. Let's take a look at the map of Connecticut. And as you can see, cold temperatures around the state once again, mostly in the low 20s. And you have Torrington at 20, and then you have Danbury, Hartford at 21, New Haven, New London at 23, and then Norwich is at 22. Cold all around the state tonight as snow prep begins. And let's take a look at the 7-day forecast so we can see what we have ahead. So like I said, snow tonight, 27 with a low of 23. We're only supposed to get about, even if an inch, not that much. And if we get any snow at all, it should melt away in time for tomorrow with the high being 37 and mostly cloudy, excuse me, and a low of 23 once again. Then Friday, it's going to warm back up. Like I said, if you think 39 is warm, cloudy again with a low of 23. Saturday, it's looking a little bit messy, a bit of a snow-rain mix, and it's going to be 38 degrees for a high, and then 29 degrees at night. And then Sunday, it's going to warm up again. If you think 39 is warm, it has been for the past couple days. The weather we've been having in the teens, like MJ has said, so high of 39, low of 27, and the sun will come out on Monday for a high of 35, but it's going to go back down into the teens. That's going to be a nice cool 14 degrees, and then Tuesday it's going to go back down below freezing. Sun will stay out, 31 degrees for your high, and then back down to the teens, 16 degrees at night. That's what you have to look forward to. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer for spring, so stay warm out there. MJ Kelly, back out to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. Marijuana arrests in California are being cleared.
And one federal judge is taking another look at women and the military draft. Cassidy Berger has more on these national stories. Cassidy, what can you tell us tonight?
The United States has drafted men into service since the Civil War. Currently, all men ages 18 to 25 are required to register for the selective service. However, a federal judge in Houston ruled that a military draft that applies only to men is unconstitutional. Judge Gray H. Miller noted that since the Pentagon abolished restrictions on women serving in combat roles, excluding women from the draft is no longer justifiable. The Military, National, and Public Service Committee in Congress is now examining the male-only registration policy. And law enforcement in San Francisco are expunging over 9,000 marijuana convictions after voters in California legalized recreational marijuana use in 2016. San Francisco officials noted the racial disparities in the convictions. In 2011, African Americans comprised 6% of San Francisco's population, but represented nearly half of marijuana-related arrests. The city is following a California law that aims to clear all past marijuana-related crimes by July 2020. The city partnered with the organization Code for America, which created an algorithm to determine eligible cases. And in Walmarts across the country, customers will no longer hear the familiar "Welcome to Walmart" greeting. In April, greeters will be removed from 1,000 Walmart stores and replaced with customer hosts. Walmart is the largest private employer in the United States and has a large workforce of workers with disabilities. Many workers with disabilities are calling this move discriminatory, since these customer hosts have expanded job duties, including lifting 25 pounds, standing for long periods of time, and taking care of security. This is not the first time Walmart has been accused of discriminatory practices, as it settled out of court in 2008 with a former employee who claimed Walmart failed to accommodate her after she became disabled.
Thank you very much. Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, spring sports are underway, but playoffs are just beginning for the winter teams on campus.
And Emma Carmen has your full sports report next. The men's basketball team is wrapping up regular season, and both lacrosse teams have kicked off their seasons. Emma, what's coming up in sports?
Winter sports are entering their end of regular season, and for some teams, playoffs begin this weekend. The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team took on number 5 Clarkson this past weekend and had a great fight. Let's take a look. We're going to head right into the second period here with Elizabeth Jagier. Received this pass over from her teammate right under Abby Ives' legs. We'll check it out in slow-mo there. Clarkson takes the lead 1-0 on this game. Then we'll head over to the third period. 5 minutes left in the game. Quinnipiac on that power play. Score right there by Randy Marcon. The game would end in a tie after nobody scored in overtime with a final of 1-1. The Bobcats are headed to Potsdam, New York this Friday to take on the Clarkson Golden Knights. When we take a look at the playoff picture, we will see that Cornell will be taking on RPI as the number 1 and 8 seed. Colgate will be playing Harvard, and Princeton will take on St. Lawrence. In the ECAC playoffs, Clarkson is ranked 3rd and Quinnipiac is ranked 6th. The Quinnipiac men's basketball team is headed into their last weekend of regular season play. The Bobcats are set to hit the road on Friday to take on St. Peter's and host the Manhattan Jaspers on Sunday. Currently, the Bobcats are 10-6 in conference play and 15-12 overall. Spring sports have begun, and this past weekend, Quinnipiac athletics were in full swing. The Quinnipiac baseball team has spent the past 2 weekends in North Carolina and is currently 1-4 overall. After an upset win against number 20 Wake Forest Saturday, the Bobcats lost to the Deacons in the Elon Phoenix. Men's and women's lacrosse have begun as well. The men's lacrosse team is 0-3 on the season and begins MAC play in 2 weeks. The women's lacrosse team is currently 2-3 overall and take on Wagner this Friday in Hamden. That is all here from the sports side. Back to you guys at the desk.
Emma, certainly some exciting times for sports in the next couple of weeks. All right, we end tonight with the story of how one Quinnipiac student is trying to help the environment. Residential assistant Franklin Ramsey is running a recycling program. Get this, Kelly, out of his dorm.
Okay. Ramsey is encouraging students to bring recyclable bottles, cans, and more to his dorm every week. He will keep track of the teams or individuals who recycle the most, and at the end of the month, he will give out a gift card to the winners. Q30 spoke with Ramsey about his initiative.
One of the problems we have at Quinnipiac is that people don't necessarily know how to recycle properly. And so you have students mixing trash with proper recycling and contaminating it, and so facilities are not able to recycle that.
That is all we have for the latest around campus and Hamden.
We'll be back next week, but until then, find all your social media news. Find all your Quinnipiac news on social media at Q30 News and on our website, Q30TV.com. We thank you for joining us. Good night.